Good morning, welcome to Planet Mojo. Today I'm going to put up the wooden ceiling in the breezeway project. I don't know if I'll get it done today, but at the very least I'm going to get it laid out and hopefully get a full set of boards up. And by a full set, I mean 2 rows. So what I need to do, I got to measure the exact width of the room and then figure out what length to cut these 2 boards. There's going to be 1 row with 2 boards and then another row with 3 boards, and that's going to keep repeating until the ceiling's done. Natalie and I snapped, well, she had an issue with this line, so we snapped another line there. Once I start, every once in a while, I'll measure from the edge of the board over to this line, and I should measure it like 3 places. And if it's not the same all the way, I can keep adjusting and make sure that I'm coming across the room in a nice even pattern. So first thing I got to do is get this dimension, the exact width of the room. Then if it's like dead center in between these lights, that would be perfect, but I don't think it's going to be. So I got to figure out how much I can cut off of each one of these boards. We're going to want a 1/4 inch to 3/8 of an inch gap at either end. So whatever I can cut off, that's how much I can play with. And I hope I can adjust this a little bit so that it's near to the center of the 2 lights. And once I have that figured out, I'm going to snap a line here and snap a line there. All of the centered boards are going to be butted up right against that line, and then all of the shorter boards are going to be butted up against this line, and then go from there. So let's get the length of the room measured and then do some math and get this all figured out. All right. The best way to get a measurement of a room like this, get an accurate measurement, is to measure over from one wall. And in this case, I'm just going to go to 100 inches, then go the opposite way and measure from that wall. And we have 130 and a 16th. So we're going to call this 230 inches. Alright, so half of our 230 is 115, which gives us 5 inches to play with. And we're going to take a 1/4 inch off of each one for the gap at the wall. But one thing you gotta do is measure the actual boards, because these are a 1/2 inch longer. So we have basically 5.5 inches on each board to play with. Okay, so here's our math. The room is 230 inches overall, which is going to make our boards 229.5 actual, which is going to be a 1/4 inch less on either side. So divide that by 2 and you have 114 3/4. So that's the 2 longer boards. The 115 is actually half of the 230. That's what the center board's going to be. And then these 2 outer boards are going to be half of the remainder, which is 57.25 each. All 3 of these equals 229.5, and these 2 equal 229.5. So now, based on these figures, I'm going to measure from that wall over and see exactly where that hits between these lights, and then see if I need to make any adjustments. All right, in order to get my measurement from the wall to the center line here, I'm going to have to do it on the floor, and that's my little dash right there. And then I will hang a plumb bob until it's hanging right over that line, and then I'll make a mark on the ceiling. I got to do it that way because my helper took off and I have no other way of doing it. So let's get that done and then we'll figure things out from there. Okay, so I had a little bit of an interruption. I had to run down to the village and pick up Natalie from track practice. She's doing very well in track this year, but we'll talk about that in a different video. So she helped get the layout lines in. We have one for the center and one for the short boards. And here is all my dimensions for that. Everything is slightly different. The stuff on that side is going to be slightly shorter. The stuff on this side is going to be slightly larger. That will get everything dead center between the lights. There's nothing else to center it on. Like the mull on this window is just too far off to the side. There's really nothing to center it on except for these lights. So now the center of the long boards is going to be dead center between the lights, and the outsides of the short boards, those are going to be centered as well. So everything should look really nice. The next thing I got to do is get caulk around the entire perimeter. All three of these light holes need to be foamed and caulked as well, but I'm not going to be doing that today. I think all I have time for is to get a bead of caulk around the perimeter. So let's get that done. Okay, I got this caulked. I got it caulked about 4 feet out and the entire back wall. That's all I really need, because as I move this, I can get the rest of it caulked. And then once I get it all the way to the other side, I can get that side. There's no way I'm going to move this entire pile of stuff just to get that caulked. So I got my shims in place. And what I'll do tomorrow is get my first 2 boards in, which are going to be by far the hardest. There's a few tricks for doing that, but I'll show you that tomorrow. Once the first 2 boards are in, there's a tongue up there, and you can just pop the next ones into the tongue and then tap them with a hammer and then measure the edges out to this line to make sure that they're all coming off the wall evenly. Should be fun, but I am completely out of time for today, so I'm going to have to call it quits. So if you want to see the ceiling going up, make sure you subscribe and click on the update icon. If you have any questions or comments, make sure you put them in the comment section below. And if you share the video and or give it a like, it helps the channel out greatly. Thanks for watching and have a great day.